cryptids, hunting for cryptids this year. And don't forget to register for the program, and of course each week complete the challenges. That will enter you in to win some prizes. Hello, welcome to our summer reading video today. Of course, our theme this year is again Tales and Tales. So today we're talking about hunting for the Thunderbird. So we're going to talk a little bit about just some research and how you can kind of hunt for this cryptid. So let's get into the Thunderbird Legend just a little bit. So the Thunderbird has been one of the most dominant icons of Native American art and legends. The Thunderbird is one of the few cross-cultural characters in Native American mythology, since it's found in legends of the Pacific Northwest, Plains, and Northeastern tribes. Now, the Thunderbird is thought to be a powerful spirit that is in the form of a large bird. It is said to create thunder and lightning with the flap of its wings. So often you're going to hear in different Native American legends that it's going to be found on some sort of mountain. Specifically, it's either Mount Olympus or the Black Tusk Peak. Now, the Creek tribe of Washington State believed it lives and comes from Mount Olympus, that mountain in Washington State. And then the Coastal Salish believed that it was located on Black Tusk Peak in British Columbia. And then the Black Tusk is actually a remnant of a much larger volcano. And then you can get more details about that from the Kamunga Institute, the source here. And then the article itself is Thunderbird, a symbol of power, strength, and nobility. So that's going to give you just some more info about like the tribes, some specifics there. So Thunderbird today, kind of what you might come across a lot is that historians believe that Thunderbird legend is based on the petrosaur fossil. Petrosaur was an extinct flying reptile that existed about 150 million years ago. Other fossils, such as those of the tetratorm, a prehistoric gigantic bird, has also been discovered and connected to Thunderbird legend. This Teratorm was a carnivorous bird that was extinct about 11,000 years ago, so definitely much more recent. So getting into some sightings, there's a lot of sightings really close to and within Ohio, so I did want to discuss that. So some sightings that are close to Ohio, if you go on the I-80 frontier, just close to the Cleveland area, this area is referred to as the Welcome Mat to the Pennsylvania Wilds. There have been many sightings in that area over the years. Specifically, sightings have occurred in Pine Creek Valley, Dark Skies, Elk County, all over Pennsylvania wilds. So if you go to the pawwilds.com Legend of the Thunderbird, there's going to give you a little bit more specifics there. You can also get a lot of information about the Pennsylvania wilds itself, the landscape, some really great information. It really makes me want to go there and like hunt the trails. And then there's also on PennLive.com, pterodactyls, gargoyles, and thunderbirds reported in PA Monsters of PA. This article is just going to give you some more sightings that are actually in the Pennsylvania area. So I did want to mention this book. I came across it several times. You can read more about these sightings in the book Amazing Indeed, but that book is kind of difficult to find, so I found this alternative. This book is Thunderbird's American Living Legends of Giant Birds, with Lauren Coleman and Robert. So it does mention Robert Lehman's book a bit. This can be read partially for free on Google Books, so not fully, but partially read. So it's still a good resource. And then some sightings in Pennsylvania, not just the wilds, but just other areas, has been Harrisburg, Indiana County, Scottsdale, Jeannette, Irwin, New Florence, and Clinton County. So all over. To read more about these specific sightings, visit stangordon.info and the article Giant Flying Cryptids Reports Increase in Pennsylvania. You're going to get a lot more detail there about those specific sightings. Did want to mention, of course, the Thunderbird is all over the United States. So there's Illinois, Arizona, St. Louis, Missouri, Texas, Alaska, and North Carolina. So although most likely you wouldn't go traveling just to hunt for the Thunderbird, it is kind of cool to, know the other areas where it can be found outside of where you live. Especially if you ever did, happen to be traveling to one of those areas, you could say, hey, maybe I'll go do some Thunderbird hunting. So to read a little bit more, if you visit the LADailyPost.com, Friends of Folklore, the Thunderbird, that's going to just give you a little bit of history, legend, and then go into some specific sightings across the U.S. Then if you visit JunoEmpire.com, impossibly large birds spotted in Mendenhall Valley, that's going to be specifically talking about the sighting in Alaska. And then if you visit charlottestories.com, flying dinosaurs sighted are on the rise in North Carolina. Of course, that's going to give you specifics of the sightings in and around North Carolina. So as far as Thunderbird sightings in Ohio itself, so back to that book we discussed, Thunderbird, American Living Legends of Giant Birds, you can also get some discussion of Thunderbird sightings in Ohio. Mark Hall discusses some history of sightings from the Wyandot Indians. So specifically in the Ohio River Valley, there was possible sighting area for this creature, though some say it's actually the Mothman, which is another cryptid, if you've ever heard of, from West Virginia folklore. Just to give you a little map there, that's the Ohio River Valley Basin, so kind of giving you just like a sense of where those, the Ohio River Valley itself, so that's where kind of Thunderbird has been supposedly spotted. So the Ohio River Valley around Point Pleasant area was home to multiple Native American tribes, including the Shawnee. They spoke of a large creature similar to the Mothman long before Mothman ever, came into existence. So this, of course, would be the Thunderbird. They believe the Thunderbird was a servant of the Great Spirit, and it lived atop hills and mountains. Again, kind of that idea you're going to keep coming across, that it's living on some sort of mountain somewhere. It is said that the Thunderbird could change its appearance to that of a man by pulling back its beak and removing its feathers. So due to these Native American legends, in that area, many believe that the Mothman was really the Thunderbird. So the idea there is that Mothman really doesn't exist, it's just the Thunderbird all along. So that's a really cool idea there. To read a little bit more about that, if you visit weirdus.com, specifically the Galapagos Mothman article, just going to give you a little bit about the Mothman and kind of that crossover with the Thunderbird. Then if you visit AppalachianLady.wordpress, the Mothman, the Thunderbird, and the Curse of the Chief Cornstalk, that's going to give you a lot more information about that kind of crossover between the legends of the Thunderbird and the Mothman, and also the curse, supposed curse, kind of giving you an idea of where that comes from, why the Mothman supposedly showed up in those areas, like the Point Pleasant area, and why it's really actually not Mothman but the Thunderbird. So talking about cryptozoology, so what we're really talking about today, going out and hunting for cryptids, or just even researching them. So this is a study for and search for animals, especially legendary animals such as the Thunderbird, and usually in order to evaluate the possibility of their existence. So we're going out, or we're researching, or we're doing both, and we're trying to find these cryptids that we don't know that they exist, but we're seeing if we can find like some proof, some specimens maybe. So to get started searching for cryptids such as the Thunderbirds, all you really have to do is start studying, start doing some research, and then of course you can go out in nature and search for them, but you don't have to physically go out and search for them to kind of get started with cryptozoology. That's just like the fun kind of being out in nature part of it, but it's not something you have to do. So really, I would just say start in an area you live, because you never know what you might find in your neck of the woods. Remember, Thunderbirds have been spotted in and around Ohio, so you never know what you might really spot in your own backyard. So you don't have to travel to start searching for the Thunderbird. So I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit why kind of cryptozoology is important, because a lot of times you're going to come across people discounting that science of, kind of searching for these creatures. Kind of people make fun of it. So it's just kind of a nice reminder to, what's important about it and why is it important. So paleontologist Donald Prothero said that a cryptid is any animal that has ever been described by science, something that stretches the limits of what is scientifically plausible. To which journalist Daniel Laxton added, it implies a creature that has been recorded through folklore, something that we have reason to suspect exists. So at one time, the existence of Australia's platypus was thought to be a hoax, but after further research and investigation, of course, we now know they exist. So that's really kind of what cryptozoology and what's important about it. There's so many creatures left to be discovered if only we keep seeking them out. With further research, if you find a specimen, you don't know what it is, maybe you take it to a lab, and even the lab is like, oh, I don't know what this is. Maybe you could discover something that is new, something that we don't know yet. So that's kind of just the importance there of why searching for these cryptids is so interesting. So if you visit cosmosmagazine.com, the weird world of cryptozoology, that's going to give you just that information that we kind of went over from the paleontologist, and just some more details there. I did want to also discuss Loren Coleman. He is a very important figure in cryptozoology. He actually names himself, I'm the world's foremost cryptozoologist. So he's very kind of important in that world. Now, he mentioned several animals that were all cryptozoological until the 20th century, so not just like the platypus, but tons of other ones that, at one time people thought, were a hoax, not real. But through research, we found out they're real. So he has written more than 40 books about these animals, and he's definitely an inspiration to many cryptozoologists. Coleman likes to have like an open-minded approach to cryptozoology, which is what I kind of recommend if you're interested in further research or hunting out this cryptid, such as the Thunderbird. Having an open mind, I think, is just going to be important. Not saying you have to believe everything you read, of course. It's just being open-minded to, new ideas and research. So if you visit thefinancialtimes.com, the article, I'm the world's foremost cryptozoologist, you're going to get just that more info from Loren Coleman himself and about him. A nice resource. I also did want to mention this video on youtube.com, What is Cryptozoology, from CBS News. You actually get to hear from Loren Coleman himself, which is really cool, and a few other cryptozoologists at a convention. Really interesting video, not very long. I would definitely recommend giving it a watch. Did want to also mention lorencoleman.com. You can view all of the books he's written, as well as some information about the Cryptozoology Museum, and then just some more information about Loren Coleman himself. Now, as far as books you can request in our catalog, there really isn't many. In general, there's really not a lot of books about the Thunderbird. It's kind of difficult to find. So just keep that in mind. You're going to find more information about the Thunderbird online than you will probably for books, especially books that are easily accessible. So the first one for adults would be Cry for the Thunderbird, the American Indian's Own Story by Charles Hamilton, and then the UXL Encyclopedia of World Mythology. And there are 2 children's books that I found that I thought I would mention if you want to, if you have any kids and you would like to read them, some Thunderbird books, these might be cool ones to read. First one is Brave Wolf and the Thunderbird by Joe Medicine Crow. And the second one is Mythological Birds and Beasts from Many Lands, retold by Margaret Mayo. And then next here, we're going to go into books not in our catalog. These are not super easily accessible. These can be found mostly on Amazon. But I did want to mention them in case you're really interested in, some more books. So Children of the Thunderbird, Legends and Myths from the West Coast by E. Mars, the first one. And then A Guide to Sky Monsters, Thunderbird, the Jersey Devil, Mothman, and Other Flying Cryptids by T.S. Mart. Then The Wiser Field Guide to Cryptozoology, Werewolves, Dragons, Skyfish, Lizardmen, and Other Fascinating Creatures, Real and Mysterious by Dina West Budd. And the last one there is Copper State Monsters, Cryptids and Legends of Arizona by David Weatherly. And if you've never actually been in our catalog before, if you just visit our website, www.louisvillelibrary.org, if you hit the catalog button, it will take you to this page here. And then I would just hit the drop down next to that little home button and hit articles and journals, all fields. And I just typed in Thunderbird Cryptozoology, but if you want to get into the specifics, I would go ahead and click these here. So I've got the Thunderbird Cryptozoology, which is just a research starter. So it's just, again, it's just a starter. It's just going to give you just a little bit information about Thunderbird. And then the second one is Petrosaur Thunderbird, the origin of a fake Native American legend with an anti-evolution agenda. So of course this is like discounting the existence of the Thunderbird. So that's the other side of the argument, which is always, good to get, of course, both sides. And then American Monsters by Elliot Kagan. And then Mike Connolly's Tales of the Weird of Winged Beasts and Lizard Men. So in these articles and journals, if you've never been to articles and journals, these are free to read within the page, whatever device you're on. So if you're on your PC or your phone. And then I just wanted to say happy hunting. I really hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you got something out of it. I hope you do continue to research Thunderbird or just, any of the other cryptids that we've discussed. In our summer reading, and if you do actually go out and try to start hunting, it'd be really cool if you shared it with us. Okay, let's go over what is going to be in your grab bags this week and your incentives. So in your grab bags there's going to be a really cool leather bookmark. I hope you like it. And then as far as your incentives, what you need to do, completing watching this video is going to count, and then also you need to check out 15 books, check out 5 movies, and read 100 pages. Okay? Thanks for joining us today. Join us every week, June 7th through August 6th, for another cryptid adventure. And of course, stop by the library to pick up your grab bag full of either craft supplies or some cool, fun extra prizes.